Big Beautiful Bill. AmericanCommitment.com. President Phil Kerpen joining me now to talk about some of the regulation that's going to be reined in. Hi, Phil.
Hey, Fawn, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm great.
Good. This was a big, beautiful bill, but some Republicans didn't even like it.
Yeah, it's an ugly thing if you watch the sausage making too closely. They had to make some compromises. They had to buy off the New York and New Jersey Republicans with a quadrupling of the SALT cap. That was the ugliest change there at the end. That's going to cost, another $350 billion. No economic growth effects at all, just to give away to rich people in high-tax blue states. So that was pretty ugly. But most of the other changes were pretty positive. In particular, they accelerated the end of all of the Green New Scam giveaways, which, the original base bill had them all lasting until the next presidential administration. So, if the Democrats came back, then none of them ever would have ended. That was all moved up. So that was a very positive victory that was won by the conservatives in sort of the last-minute jockeying. And they got some significant victories on Medicaid as well. They got the work requirements moved up from 2029 to December 2026. I, of course, wanted them to take effect tomorrow, but that's a lot better than it was. And they also, which I think is really important and got almost no attention, but they got Medicaid hospital reimbursements capped at Medicare rates, which is really important because the way a lot of these states have been doing their money laundering scams, what they've been doing is they say, okay, we'll put a tax on the hospital to generate our quote-unquote state share for Medicaid, then get a massive amount of federal money, then we'll hand the money right back to the hospital through these overinflated reimbursements. Well, that's going to be much, much harder for them to do if they're capped at the Medicare rates. In a lot of states, they were paying hospitals 200 or 300% of Medicare rates for Medicaid, which is also horrible for seniors. If hospitals get paid much more for Medicaid than Medicare, it's really inappropriate. So I was very happy to see that change. I was disappointed with the changes to the REINS Act section of the bill, which was really, really strong in the original House version that came out of Judiciary. And we've talked about this bill before on your show, Fawn, but for anyone who's not familiar, this is a bill that would say for any significant regulation on the economy, you've got to get affirmative approval from Congress, majorities in the House and Senate, before it can take effect, instead of just doing it and then seeing if anyone can stop you, which is how the process works now. And they actually had a pretty strong version of this in the bill. That late night change, they changed it to just a study of regulation. So that was pretty disappointing, and we're going to see if the Senate can add that back. Mike Lee is trying to do that on the Senate side. But on the whole, I think I give this bill about a B. It's pretty good. The most important thing is preventing all those tax hikes from hitting, because everyone would get hammered with higher taxes if they don't get this done. It certainly could have been better, but it's a reasonably good product, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think B is perfect because it's big, beautiful bill. It's all B's. But, I did talk to another guest about those rich people getting those taxes. And I can explain it away in that you're never going to get everything you want. There's always going to be a little bit of pork, and that's just the way the government works. And I hate it, but it is what it is. But in those their state government should be taking care of their overtaxation. They really should be, but they're not. So they're trying to fix it federally, but the problem's not going to go away for them. I mean, they can give them all the tax breaks they want federally.
Well, it makes the problem worse, Fawn, because if you tell the state and local government, hey, your taxpayers are going to be able to write off all your tax hikes on their federal taxes, that makes it much easier for them to keep raising taxes in these places.
Yeah, and that should have been a stipulation. That should have been a stipulation, that they had to do something at the state level.
Yeah, I mean, look, New York, one of the really disappointing things in the Medicaid provisions of the bill is that, California and New York in particular have this total scam where they have what's called the managed care organization tax, where they don't put up a state share really at all anymore in Medicaid in these states. What they do is they have a tax on the managed care organization, the plan that runs the private company that runs the Medicaid plans in those states. And then the federal government reimburses the managed care organization for the tax, and then they use the money anyway to release the federal funds as the state share. And so it's like a total, like a double reimbursement scam. Now they're getting twice paid, and they're really putting no state money, no real state money in at all. And they were going to end this scam. There was a lot of talk about ending this scam. And then the bill came out, and they say new states can't do this, but California and New York get grandfathered. They can keep doing it. So, I mean, like, if we reward states that abuse the system and rip off the rest of the country by saying, hey, no problem, keep doing it, and we're doing that on the tax provision with the SALT deduction, we're doing it on the Medicaid reform with this grandfather provision, New York and California are big enough they can bankrupt the rest of us if we keep letting them get away with these things. And by the way, both of those states also have lots of illegals getting Medicaid, and they use this shell game to claim, oh, no, those are state funds. But, they're not really state funds because they use these money laundering scams.
Yeah.
So that's another big part of it.
Capone and Madoff would be pretty proud.
Yeah, but it's legal when the government does
it.
Yeah, but right.
Exactly. So it's sad to me that couldn't have been a provision, but the state governments need to have their feet held to the fire. And the fact that their representatives are GOP and that's what they wanted from this, that spells RINO, if you ask me. But it is what it is. But it is nice to see a lot of the ridiculous and fundamentally wrong regulations that were going to come at us with what we can and can't do with our own money, or buy and not buy what we want to have for ourselves. A lot of that got erased, and that makes me happy. The mandates on what kind of everything we can have. But did you hear there's a coalition of like 12 states that are going for the electric car mandate, and they're going to continue it anyway?
Well, they're going to try. They're going to litigate, but I mean, I think it's going to be very hard for them right now because, of course, the automobile market is interstate commerce, and it's historically it's been exclusive federal jurisdiction. The reason that California was able to ban internal combustion vehicles, and 10 or 11 other states were able to follow California, is that the Obama administration granted them a waiver, and then, of course, Trump revoked it, and then Biden granted it again. And so we were in this situation where it looked like we were going to have waivers whenever Democrats are in, and then they were going to be, taken back when Republicans are in, which would have been just a ridiculous back and forth. But Congress put an end to that. They passed a bill, House and Senate. It got 35 Democrats in the House, only one Democrat in the Senate, Alyssa Slotkin from Michigan, but that was enough. They passed a bill. It's going to the president's desk to ban the California waiver. And, of course, Newsom says, oh, I'm going to sue. This is illegal. This is outrageous. But I think he's going to lose. I mean, this is clearly interstate commerce, in my opinion. So I believe that Newsom is going to lose, and states will not be able to ban internal combustion vehicles anymore under the bill that just passed.
I wonder how much oil he has in his hair. That's got to be illegal for him to have. Just saying. Phil Gerpen, AmericanCommitment.com. That's where they go to learn more about your opinions and your outlooks on what's going on in the national government, correct?
Absolutely, and we've got some pre-written letters there you can send in to try to keep this bill strong and strengthen it, and you can always edit them however you want. We'll make sure they get delivered.
Phil Gerpen. Thank you, sir.
All right, have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.